So,
What's up, you guys? So I just said I don't care. We're talking about the crookedness of our phone, and if you guys have watched any of these videos, it like totally freaks me out. And I go, well, it wasn't as live, and Brandon's like, how is it not as live? I'm like, well, not as many people. All right, guys. I don't know what day it is. I think it's day 4, so we're like 7 hours into quarantine. And we look like it. All right. So if you guys are following us, obviously we own a CrossFit gym that got shut down as of last night. So we are now taking this opportunity to pivot to take care of our members, to take care of all of you guys, because obviously this is an unknown time. So we are committed to at least 30 days. It's probably going to be more. So
if you hop on, give us a what's up, by the way.
Give us a hello. So we're committed to bringing you guys all the happy vibes and strategies on how to create the best life you can while you're in quarantine. We should call this the quarantine files.
How can we use this as an opportunity to grow and expand and create the things that we've been maybe holding ourselves back from during this time? So yesterday we talked about creating certainty and calm in the chaos. So today we wanted to talk about why we need structure so that we can have some flow. And then also, what habits can we actually use right now to get ourselves going in the direction we want to be, and setting some intentions to, okay, if I'm in quarantine for 30 days, who do I want to be? How do I want to feel at the end of this? So, start with structure and flow, and then we'll go into the habits. So, a lot of people in our life are like, so freedom, we talk about values. Freedom is one of my top values. And I want freedom of choice. I want freedom to do the things I want to do. I want freedom to leave my house right now, right? And so when we lose our freedom, we tend to think that we're going to go crazy, right? It's the rebel in us. So what we need to understand is that life does better when there is some structure, but not rules, right? And so there's a difference between rules and boundaries, and I'll go there really fast. So rules are things that keep us in a box, keep us stuck. Diets are rules, that kind of thing, where you're like, I can't go outside of this box, and then eventually you do, and it just spins off the other way, right? So we need to create boundaries in our life, and we can talk about this later in the bigger terms. But right now, you need to have some boundaries in your life, right? So boundaries can be things like, I'm still going to make sure I'm nourishing my body 3 days a day. You guys, seriously, 3 times a day. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting out and I'm getting sunlight. I'm going to make sure that I'm still getting in my workouts. Even though my gym might be closed, I know that moving my body is still really important. So decide, what are those really important things to you and to your health and to your sanity? Because this is not just physical, but it's very mental and very emotional right now. So what things do you need to do in your life? And we're going to give you our suggestions of how you can create this. But understanding that when you have structure, right? Where can't I go? Right? And so, but when we understand that when we have structure, and we have clarity on where we want to go, then we can create some flow in our life, and we won't get stuck in that, oh my gosh, I just surfed, the coronavirus website, or I just surfed Facebook for 2.5 hours, and where did my time go, right? And focusing on all the things we don't want, where can't I go? What can't I do? We were just laughing because Brandon had to run over to the gym for something, and my car wouldn't start, and I sort of was like, well, I don't have to go anywhere, so whatever. But anyway, but I want you guys to understand that creating structure, this right now if you're trying to homeschool your kids, they need structure, so do you, right? So determine what boundaries feel good, and understand that structure is actually going to lead into that flow and that feeling of freedom, and the feeling of not being trapped by your scenario, and understanding that you still get to choose this, right? We all need to understand this is still a choice. You are still in creation of your life, and this is your choice. Okay, so let's talk about what the things we think are really important in the next 30, we'll just say 30 days, as far as habits and how to build really good ones. So with that, you guys, I think, we've been working with clients for 20 years. The part that I would say the biggest obstacle for most people is the weekend, right? Because Monday through Friday, there's typically a structured plan to what we do. And then Saturday and Sunday, because I all of a sudden have freedom, the structure kind of falls by the wayside, and then all of a sudden it kind of goes into this whirlwind spin of other decisions that aren't aligning with what we essentially want in the long run for ourselves. But I think kind of just building on what Courtney was saying a little bit is going off of rules and boundaries is, first off, yet again, for most of us, we'll use yet again, the environment we see more often than not is with the gym, right? In order for me to go to the gym, i.e. be healthy. I need to go physically to the gym. I need to work out an hour and a half. I need to do, weights for this amount of time. I need to do cardio for this amount of time. And if I don't do that, that's not yielding me to be healthy, right? And so oftentimes what we talk about with our clients is instead of having these hard set fast rules, right? Because right now, if that's your definition of the way that you need to fit in alignment with being healthy, that you literally can't do it because you can't go anywhere right now.
You feel really untethered and really like very chaotic.
Yes. And so right now, this is a great opportunity to take a step back, breathe, and see how you can expand that, right? Like, okay, maybe it's not physically going to the gym. Maybe it's anytime that you get to go outside and go for a walk. Anytime that you get to go, play with your kids. Maybe it's anytime that you get to do a workout in your living room, right? Like anytime, instead of having it this hard set rules of I need to do X, Y, Z, and if I don't do that, all of a sudden I'm falling by the wayside. Yet again, these are opportunities for us to yet again expand and create boundaries as opposed to the hard set rules, because yet again, if your hard set rules are literally going to conflict with what's going on in this moment in time, this is going to be a long, long, hard journey for you as you're going through this, okay?
Can I say something really quick?
Do it up.
So the other thing to understand, you guys, is that rules are set out of fear, right? And right now, there's, for all of us, for whatever it is, the sickness, the financial, the not being able to go anywhere, like, there's probably some fear. But in life, when we're coming from a place of fear, we have rules, right? Because we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust the scenario. So we're like, okay, I'm gonna give myself this box because we think it keeps us safe and it brings us certainty. But those are always based out of fear, right? And boundaries are based out of love, right? So what is it about this scenario that I can love? What can I do to love myself and show myself that I'm still worthy of being healthy and happy and all of those things, even in this time of uncertainty? So I want you to understand that boundaries come from a place of love, and they're pliable, and they get to shift and they get to change. And like whatever you thought might work today, you got to give it a go. Maybe that didn't work. Maybe this didn't work, right? And so they get to be pliable, so you can't fail. So at the end of this, you're not like, oh, throw in the towel. I'm just not gonna do anything for 30 days, and I'm gonna sit home and eat and drink and smoke and watch TV, right? Like, so understand that with boundaries, you cannot fail, and that is why it's so important to have boundaries and not to have rules, because when you fail with your rules, you throw in the towel, and then you're completely off the other direction.
Well, it's the constant yo-yoing. You see that we see that with our clients all the time, right? I start, I stop. I've tried everything, right? Like I have the stories that go all the way around this, but and so bringing it back yet again, I want to keep this kind of concise for you guys. Is when it comes to this, you guys, is building on kind of the same kind of what Courtney was just talking about. Is first off identifying what is it that you want. Okay, what would be your intention for the next 30 days as you're going through this, right? Like we've been notified that we have to shut down our physical location for the next 30 days. What is our intention for the next 30 days? Right? Like what is the experiences? What do I want to deliver for you guys? How can I contribute to your guys' life? What do I want to yet again strive for and build in these next 30 days for myself? Right? Like what is it that I want? Now, why is it so vital that I do those things? Right? Because yet again, instead of coming from a place of I don't have any choices, I have all the choice to do these things, right? I can set my intentions, and then from there bring that down and kind of see, okay, what is the steps in order for me to get to that end point, right? Like I'm chunking it down into small bite-sized pieces, all right? And so in our shift program, we call that downshifting. We set our intention, we see what it is that we want, and then we determine why is it so vital, because yet again, this is creating a lot of certainty. I've never crossed this bridge. I can't imagine any of you have either. And so without knowing these things, I already know that there's going to be times of turmoil, right? Like this has already thrown a big obstacle in my lap that I've never crossed before. But I know our mission, and I know our mission is to serve all of you guys and to allow you to experience the things that you want to experience. And even in this obstacle, I know if we can push through this together on the other side of this, that's where everything else grows and prospers from this. That's why it's so vital for us that we continue on this mission. And knowing that, we break it down to bite-sized pieces. what can we deliver for you guys? How can we show up for you guys? It's starting this live, right? Like it's simply writing the first paragraph of what we want to talk about, right? Like the smallest incremental things. We call that micro promises and micro commitments, right? Like I see and I set my intention and then I break it down to the smallest itty bitty bite-sized piece that I can do to get me moving, right? Like it's not this big monumental thing that I need to do everything right now in this amount of time, because right now there's so much uncertainty going through that makes it very, very easy to feel like I'm overwhelmed and I'm never going to climb Mount Everest. Right now, our job is to climb the hill in Kansas. And if it leads to us climbing Mount Everest at the end of this thing, that's phenomenal, right? But right now we need to set our intentions by loading up our pack, setting our food, doing all the little small steps so we know the direction we want to go, and then from there promising and holding ourselves to our intentions and being integral with the things that we want for ourselves.
So like I said, I think the biggest thing with intention is like, how do you want to feel at the end of these 30 days? If we are indeed quarantined for 30 days, how do you want to feel physically, mentally, emotionally, right? Get clear on that. Because then when we know how do you want to feel, who do you want to be, how do you want to show up for the next 30 days, and how do you want to feel in the midst of this, right? If you're at home with your kids, if you're doing all those things, like how do you want to be for them? How do you want to be for your spouse? How do you want to be for yourself? And how do you want to feel? So get into that feeling, and then we get to take inspired action, okay? So for us on the actual habits, the things that we think are most crucial are having a morning routine, right? I'm like a morning routine Nazi, I guess is the best word for it.
No, Nazi is a good word.
I don't know if that's the best word, but like I'm
advocate. Morning routine advocate. I don't think Nazi really throws a good
I'm obsessed with morning routine, right? And so the reason I'm obsessed with it is it literally changed and shifted my entire life, right? Because in a world where there's too much hustle, which now we might not have as much hustle, but in a world of chaos and uncertainty, when you can choose to create time and space for yourself, that will change everything, right? So if you get up and you just start looking at Facebook and you look at COVID-19 and you're like, oh my gosh, and you're in this till you go to bed and you're going to not be a happy person in 30 days. You're going to be a not happy person in 2 hours, right?
And everyone else around you is going to feel that.
Yeah. So get up, decide, like you probably have more time now. You probably don't have to be anywhere maybe as often. So set an alarm, grab a meditation. I can give you guys a meditation. We've got one on intention setting. I have a gratitude one. I love those two. We have one that's about our shift, just about shifting, which the whole world is shifting right now. So if you want those, just drop me a message and I'll get those to you. But just commit to 10 minutes. Take 10 to 15 minutes and just create time and space for yourself and for where you want to go and how you want to feel in the next 30 days, right? I think honestly right now, like we're big on long-term goals, but there's so much uncertainty in tomorrow, the next day, right? Like let's look at 30 days because that's kind of the big chunk that's been set out for us by the government and like what they think is happening. They don't know either, but like let's say 30 days and let's keep this very concise into in this period of quarantine or lockdown or whatever we're going to call it. What are the things you get to do right now? Because when everything opens up again, life's going to shift again, right? Like what we knew to be true 2 days ago is not true now. So you've got to be able to pivot, roll, flow with what's going on. So start with a morning routine, start with creating the feeling that you want to feel.
Well, I think coming from a place of gratitude. Right, like in addition to the morning routine is allowing yourself to feel into gratitude, right? And I think we've talked about this before, but I think for a lot of our clients is like, well, there's nothing to be grateful about at this moment in time, right? Like, well, are you grateful that you can breathe the air that you're in? Are you grateful that you have that roof over your head? Are you grateful that you have a spouse in your life? Are you grateful that you have, you have tennis shoes on your feet, whatever it may be, right? Like start there, because if you can shift your focus to a place of gratitude, what that automatically does is it shifts your state. And I think for a lot of us right now, because uncertainty is coming over a lot of us right now, is it's really easy to be in a or a disempowering state. And if we're in disempowering state, that creates a lot of different decisions, and it creates a lot of different interpretations of what we're going to experience. So it's starting with the morning routine and starting with gratitude. And a couple easy questions is, what are you grateful for right now in this moment? And not only what are you grateful for, what specifically are you grateful for and why, right? Like why does that give you the feeling of gratitude, right? Like if you can bring these sense right then and there, you can change your state, and all of a sudden you're going to create motivation and inspiration in your life.
Yeah, so we're going to cap this at 15, which means we have 1 minute and 15 seconds. All right, guys. So start with the morning routine, right? And then just look at the parts of like, how do I want to nourish my body, right? Like our super simple basics, have a protein, a vegetable, a fat, and a little bit of a starchy carb or a fruit at 3 meals a day, and have a couple snacks, right? Like try to get as much whole food in your body as humanly possible. We'll do another live and actually talk about nourishment and immunity in the next couple days, but just make sure you're actually eating, you're not starving yourself, and you're not just piling crappy processed food into your body, okay? So make sure you're eating at least 3 times a day. Make sure you're actually getting 8 hours of sleep, okay? Make sure you're staying hydrated. And then make sure you've got some kind of plan to get outside of your house, whether it's on a walk, whether it's going to play soccer in the backyard. Do something where you're actually getting sunlight and you're getting out of your scenario. And I think the last thing is like limit your social media and maybe limit where you're looking and what you're watching, because what's coming into you is gonna matter. So don't limit us. No, I'm just kidding. But limit the things that are going to put you in a negative state, and lean into the things that feel expansive and that feel like they're taking you into an elevated state.
Oh, I think that covers it.
All right. All right, guys. We were going to do 10 minutes. We said 15. So we appreciate you guys. Last reminder, we're going to be live tomorrow on here on my Facebook page, 6 o'clock. We're going to do an hour long.
6 or 6:30.
6:30. Yes, 6:30. It's been a long few hours, you guys. 6:30 tomorrow night, Wednesday the 18th. So we're going to be live on here for about an hour. We're really going to dive deep into the 6 human needs. And we've touched briefly on a couple of them. So love, connection, community, growth, significance, all the things. A lot of these things are happening right now, and we don't even understand that that's why we're reacting the way we are. So,
well, if you're one of the people that we tend to see, if I have all the best intentions in the world, but I'm wanting to just devour all this crap in my pantry, right? Like I always feel like I'm turning to a cocktail at night, or like, right, I just have this anxious feeling, right? Like I want to go smoke a cigarette, whatever. Like there's reasons because of this, and we're gonna dive into that, you guys, so you can come from a better understanding as to why this is, and maybe relinquish some of these things of maybe using yourself as a punching bag in addition to everything else that's going on.
Yeah, so it's really about self-learning and self-growth and self-love. So if you guys want to join us, we'll be on here. Feel free to share this video with your friends, share that with your friends. Like we said, we're here to support you guys, love you guys through this, and in the end, everything's going to be better. All right, guys, hope you're having a great day. I don't know what day it is. I think it's Tuesday. Is it Tuesday?
Yep.
All right, guys, if you're a Surge member, 4:30 to 6 if you want to check out equipment for the next 30 days. So meet us there if you need to check out some stuff so you can make sure you're following along and keeping your fitness on. Well, we're closed. All right, guys, thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, y'all.